Alright, so we understand a little bit more about what these active alerts are all about, but now how do we actually act on those active alerts? Well, the way that we do that, the most straightforward way, is to take your mouse and simply select the alert from this view, and then you can use a couple of different buttons to drill down into this view. In fact, as I move my mouse, say, to this view here, and then back, well, actually, let's move it to this one because we can see the buttons just all grayed out, and then move it back. Now, as I select these alerts, certain ones will enable different ways of drilling down into these sessions and showing what actually caused this issue, this alert within the environment. So when I click on something like Packet Drop Alert, we can see that some of the buttons just ungrayed themselves at the top here. Now I can tell obviously which ones are disabled because, well, one, the left three are still grayed out in a disabled state, but when I take my mouse and hover over them, I can see I get this blocked out little icon over my mouse here indicating that I can't really do much with it. However, I can use it to drill down into the calls that actually cause this issue. Now in this case, that's going to be the first button from the left, which is Session IP Topology. So let's go ahead and click on that here. Now you might be wondering what some of this is and what exactly it means and when do we have to fill this out manually ourselves. Well, the cool thing about UC Diagnostics is when you're searching for sessions that were actually tied to something like this bad event happening here, then a lot of the times when you drill down using the buttons at your disposal from the active alerts, then it'll just autofill the information that's most relevant to you here within the search view. Now, beyond just explaining all that's here and all that you can do with it, let's instead, for now, just go ahead and hit Submit, which means go ahead and do your search UCD. And then UC Diagnostics is going to take just a moment here to search for the sessions that cause this alert. Okay, now we actually have some return results here. Now, I'm dragging this around just because I'm going to resize it here. And you can also use some of the icons at the top of this blue bar to either maximize the view if you wanted to. Let's actually just go ahead and do that. There we go, that's a little bit better. Now, some of the things that we're actually seeing or attributes that we came back from our results with were things specifically related to the calls that we're monitoring on from our environment. Now we have the different things that we can look at, so we can sort based off of who the caller was or who the receiver was, the type of session was, which in this case it was predominantly all voice, the start time, duration, source and destination IP address. There's a lot of different things we can sort on here. In this case, something I find most helpful is to look at something like degraded, and I'm going to click it once and then again just so I have it sorted by descending. That's what this little down arrow here indicates. And so now, from right now, I'm looking at calls where specifically the option for degraded was set to poor. Now if we scroll down just a bit more, I'm just hitting the wheel on my mouse, we can see that we do have some kind of a sorting gradient to go by. So we have poor, we have fair, and then we should also have, yep, here it is here, we should also have bad. Now some of the other ones here though, you'll see that as we go down here are blank. That typically means either something like duration was 0, which means that the call is either still in progress, which we can see here, or it has ended too quickly to really get any type of quality score here. But regardless, the things I'm most interested in right now are the ones specifically on bad and poor. So I'm going to take one of these calls here. I'll actually take a look at this one here. And part of the reason I'm doing that is because just off the bat and from my own view, I can see, actually this one's even worse. The network loss measurement here, which is this column, is pretty high for this specific call. Now we can see that this call was a voice call. It was on these specific numbers, and it was bad, of course. But we also see the termination reason was normal. Now we'll revisit that later, but for right now, the thing that catches my eye, beyond just bad, is that this network loss level is 4 times, almost 4 times, what these other levels around it really are, or at least most of them. So to drill down and be able to see what's really going on with this session, kind of like before, instead of just highlighting an alert and clicking a drill down button, instead we're highlighting the session, taking our mouse, and then clicking on this magnification glass here. Now once this session has actually come up with its drill down, the thing to take away from this that we're looking at right now is we're looking at basically a deeper level of inspection across UC Diagnostics for our UC environment. So now we're actually starting to look at the hop by hop of our call. So for now, we're going to hold off, but then in the next session, we're going to look to understand what this data and what these views are really telling us.